Hello gamers and welcome to another YouTube video. I apologize, it's been a while, I was settling in, I was very busy, I had to focus on streaming, but now I'm back. Alright, so let's get into it gamers. Yesterday, or the day before yesterday, Wargaming dropped this article and I'm getting a lot of questions about it, so I figured I may as well make my own YouTube video and talk a little bit about what I think, how I feel about this, and if this is good or bad for the game. I've been, like I said, getting a lot of questions about it on stream, so I figured I would cover it as well. This is the first time I've actually reading the article myself. So, Commanders, for the past 15 years, we've been evolving and refining the Matchmaker. About that, yet it remains far from the state we aspire to achieve. That seems pretty true. We recognize how crucial this aspect of the game is, which is why we've continuously worked to improve it. However, despite our efforts, our current approach hasn't brought the progress we aim for. Accountability. Rare to see that come out, but good to see it nonetheless. That's why we believe it's time for a change and we're ready to take a new direction to move forward. Okay, I'm interested to see what this is going to be. Matchmaker core and principles. The Matchmaker handles millions of operations, conditions, and actions for every battle. It also needs to control the constantly changing number of players in the queue. This is very true, especially with different servers, different prime times, and different peaks and lows, you know, even for NA, you know, you have a low during the night, a peak during the day, same for EU. You know, and the key component responsible for this workload is the Matchmaker core. This is responsible for processing all requests and performing calculations while staying true to the key matchmaking principles. Balanced battles, creating varied team compositions based on core matchmaking rules. This seems pretty vague. It doesn't really say much, okay? Engagement and battle variety, bringing diverse battle setup. This again doesn't really say much. Speed and efficiency, minimizing queue times while maintaining high battle quality. See, this is something that I've mentioned before on stream as well, when people are talking about the MM and the things that they would want to do to it, is that, at least from my understanding, Wargaming has a few layers to this. They want everybody to be in battle before X time, and it's, I don't think it's even that long, but like anything past, let's say, hypothetically, 1 minute is considered like a soft fail, and a soft fail is not a good thing for the user because he wants to get into battle. And I think 5 minutes is a hard fail. So while many people don't think about that, they, from what I know, they don't really like to spend more time making people queue. To uphold these principles and introduce new features, we have to completely rebuild the Matchmaker core from the ground up. I can imagine that did take a lot of time, knowing that World of Tanks is, I don't know how many years old at this point. So there's a lot of legacy and old code running throughout the game, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot of it in the Matchmaker core that they had to clean up, so I'm willing to believe this. Building the fine core is an incredibly challenging task, again, willing to believe this. Even the smallest adjustments require significant time, still willing to believe that. Deep technical reworking and careful testing to maintain stability and balance. Yeah, okay, I can believe that. The next features we want to introduce a new system. Key Matchmaker improvements. Improved role balance. This is something that we've argued ourselves for already in the past as well, that we should be taking more of a look at the tanks against the tanks. You know, like, it makes, like, this example that they're putting here, you can see it in the meantime, it's very simple. You see it quite often, you know. Your team has a 50B and a Gorilla, and their team has a 60DP and a 268V4. Okay, on some maps the 50B and Gorilla can be preferred, but on a lot of maps having the actual heavy and an assault TD is way better than having the support TD. So I guess that's what it's explaining here. E100, so a simple example, one team can have 1 or 2 super miles and E100 while the opposing team has 2 autoloaders. Yeah, exactly. These tanks fulfill very different roles, yes. Super heavies are built to absorb damage and hold positions, yes. While autoloaders are designed to cause damage and support. Again, true. So now vehicles with different combat roles will be distributed more evenly across teams. For example, before Mouse E100, after, I mean, seems pretty straightforward. For me, personally, this is, I don't think you can say anything bad about this. Like, if we're rating every aspect of the changes one by one, I would say that that is a 10 out of 10. There is, of course... Okay, let's not say 10 out of 10, 8 or 9 out of 10, because there's going to be some funky things where some tanks, which are, I think, for example, Rhino is one of those, have a role where you could argue that it can get matched against another tank in the same role that doesn't really fit it. I would love us to see us expand then on the roles itself, so we can make it even better. But that's just me. I would like to see more roles to make sure that we have everything nailed down, but whatever, right? Better class diversity. We'll introduce stricter limit ensuring a maximum of 5 tank destroyers and 3 light tanks per team. This will work together with role-based balancing. For example, will help to minimize situation where one team has 5 sniper TDs while the other has 5 assault TDs. Again, that is a very good thing. But I will show you something and you will understand. This will create more dynamic and tactical battles where different tank types can play their intended roles effectively. In the future, we may adjust these limits. Yes, okay. So when we go to my World of Tanks here, right? And we go to my very last screenshot. This is one of the screenshots I took after being in seeing about this article. So when we analyze English is hard, but when we analyze this lineup and take a quick look at it, I was playing my E100 and the map is Outpost. We can see that there is 1 heavy, which is me. There is 2 light tanks, which is still 1 less than what could be, 2 IDs, and then there is 6 tank destroyers and the rest is mediums, so 4 mediums. Now, if we take away 1 of these tank destroyers and add it to the light tanks, or we take away 1 of these tank destroyers and add it to the IDs, or even we take 1 of these tank destroyers and add it to like a Leo or something, the Leo being the best out of the possibilities I've listed, that is still pretty bad MM in my opinion. I don't know if you agree with me on that, but like these limitations for me don't seem harsh enough. I think personally, and I don't know if you agree with me on this, but feel free to let me know after I've finished, is that anything past 2 light tanks, especially for anything tier 8 plus, is a negative effect on the battle and ends up with being not productive whatsoever, because most maps don't have 3 light tank positions, especially with the rise of spotting equipment on mediums as well, countering those light tank positions as well. That's a whole separate issue also, but the way it currently is, I think anything past 2 lines is not good for the game. And honestly, everything past 1 ID is also not good for the game. If it was 2 lights and 1 ID max and 5 TDs, you know what? That is half the team. That is half the team. You know, 5 plus 2 plus 1 is 8. That still leaves you with 7 possibility of like actual combat dice per se. For me, I don't find that to be strict enough. Now the question is, how much will these battles occur? But I can tell you when you look at this screenshot that this should be something familiar from the last few weeks for most of you playing that, with the introduction of the DBV and the 183 in the one shot, that these kind of MMs are no exception whatsoever. They're very, very common. And that's what I'm worried about, that these MMs will stay very common. And in my opinion, it's still not a good MM. Like, the max limitations still do not ensure that you get a good battle. Let me know if you agree. That's what I'm thinking. More +1 tier battles. In the new matchmaking version, we'll focus on increasing the frequency of +-1 tier battles as a more comfortable option. However, we're keeping +2. They remain the core format and ensures the full diversity of battles, means you'll face more balanced matchup while still enjoying. For me, +1, -1 MM is it's not non-negotiable, but it's like we're at this point in the game, in my opinion, and that +2 is just not a good thing anymore. That's just my opinion. I know people disagree with me on that, but for me, I would rather have less diversity and better games. So to explain it from my perspective, me as a player, as a top performing player, I cannot put it any other way. +2 battles, like I play mainly higher tiers, so I play 8, 9, 10s mainly, with 9, 10 being the focus. But when I play tier 10, for example, I do not want to play against tier 8. Believe it or not. While many people in their tier 10s may want to play against tier 8s because they get an easier battle, for me, playing against tier 8s more often than not is not very challenging in my tier 10. And I will say that I think, and I asked on stream if this was cocky or not, but they said it was both accurate and cocky. I do believe that when for example, when I'm playing a tier 10, I will speed up the battle and make it end faster, because more often than not, I'm rolling over the enemy team. I don't find +2 battles for me very challenging. That's why for me, +1, -1 would be a lot more fun, because it's more challenging, but also on the added benefit of having more HP, which is then again better for me because I can farm more. I know that there's more reasons to why +2 is bad, but that's one of the main reasons why for me it's bad. Of course, there's more reasons like tier 7 against tier 9 is a horrible dynamic. Tier 8 stock against tier 10 is also a horrible dynamic. And especially, for example, also tier 6 against tier 8 is a horrible dynamic because there's so many overperforming or overtuned premium tanks that you can meet in your tier 6, like, you know, meeting a BZ, meeting a Skoda, even meeting a Progetto, Barask, etc. The list goes on and on. It's just not fun, right? It may be fun when you're the tier 8 because you get to like own, but for all the tier 6 players, which is tier 6 and tier 7 players, which is the majority of players in such a battle, because, you know, if we're taking like 3 tier 8s, then majority of the 12 other players on the other team are lower tiers, you know? So while I think more +1, -1 is a step in the right direction, I don't think it goes far enough. I think +1, -1 is something that should be heavily considered to be introduced permanently. If not permanently, at least test it and see how it goes. And see what the people think. So for me, missed opportunity to also include that in this testing, to introduce like a +1, -1 test and see what people think. It's a step in the right direction, but again, still not enough for me. +1, -1. This is something that I've come to support over the years. Like I said, I'd rather have less variety and just better games. And that's better games for me, that's better games for you, that's better games for everybody, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. You know, I don't have any data to support this realistically, except for how I'm feeling and what I'm like getting from the community. And from what I see in the community, this +1, -1 has become more and more popular amongst the community. Anyways, smarter vehicle distribution. Highly popular tanks often flood the queue, leading to battles where both teams are packed with the same vehicle. While this can be fun in some cases, it also reduces variety. No matchmaker will limit the number of identical tanks per team, distribute them evenly for more varied experience and diverse lineups. What does this mean, guys? Patent the tank, G-Star the tank, Object 452K, DBV. You won't have 12 of them per side. However, I will say, in my opinion, not a problem. Having patent the tanks, many in the battle, not a problem. Having G-Star the tank, many in the battle, not a problem. Having many 452Ks in the MM, still not really a problem. Having something like a Lion or a Vickers overload the MM starts to become a little worrying, but still, in essence, not the biggest of problems, in my opinion. Can be playable still. It only comes when you use like these toxic tanks in mass. DBV is a good example. I think the DBV, if there was only 1 or 2 per battle, not a problem. The moment you have 3, 4 DBVs with 800 alpha, it becomes really bad. And that kind of goes for a lot of TDs, for example. There's like certain tanks, certain types that when you introduce that into the MM, it's bad. So, okay, like, sure, fine. If this doesn't lead to an increased queue time for people by too much, whatever. Not a bad thing. I'm just explaining my stance and POV on it, yeah? Smarter and faster dynamic queue management. The new system brings dynamic queue management, allowing matchmaking to adjust its rules in real time instead of relying on fixed settings. So it'll analyze player distribution, vehicle availability. That is pretty good. Now, I think that a matchmaker can only do so much. It also like really depends on what tanks it has to work with. If everybody's playing tank destroyers, you're going to get a lot of those 5 TD battles, I will assume, which is, again, something I'm afraid of, right? But this, I guess this is mainly aimed to make sure that it can work throughout the day with the different and changing parameters like morning, afternoon, prime time, etc. Right? So, new matchmaker testing. The sheer number of existing improvements and complexity of the matchmaking system require us to conduct thorough testing to ensure their quality and effectiveness. Okay. Over the next few months, we'll carry out a series of tests on the EU1 server. Okay. Experiment with different configuration and continuously fine-tuning the settings based on gathered data. Okay. I would love it if they share some of this data and show like it's working, it's not working, this we have to change. A little bit of like transparency. So not everything's like happening between closed doors and you're like, what's really happening now? But you know, That's just my opinion. To ensure the most accurate results, certain game modes encounter assault ground battles will be temporarily disabled on E1. However, these modes will remain available on all other servers during test battles, with unusual team compositions may appear on the tested server, but this is a necessary step to ensure the proper function of the updated macro. See, this is an interesting one because I know that, for example, Quickie Baby made a video as well in which he explains that he really likes assault, etc. And while I also like encounter assault because I like playing them, I find them good modes for me to perform in. I am mainly curious. To me, it's fine disabling this during testing. It's completely fine. I am mainly curious how many of you have assault and encounter enabled, because I know a lot of streamers use it, but I know outside of that, from what I've heard from the people that I've spoken to, that it's not really such a popular game mode, neither encounter or assault. This also has down to do with some troubling maps, like mines, for example, where you can get capped really quickly. But let me know what you think of encounter and assault, and if you feel like you're going to be missing out on them while this is disabled on EU1. You're not really missing out because you can still use them on EU2, but you know, I'm actually curious whether you play those modes. Our primary goal is in testing to ensure what the improved Matchmaker enhance battle quality and guarantee the stability of all matchmaking systems. This process will certainly take time, but once we are confident that testing objectives have been met, we'll try to implement these changes permanently. Okay. Okay, so that's kind of the article. We've yapped about it for 15 minutes. I think the key takeaways is that in essence, this looks good on paper. On paper, this seems to have improvements, but what this doesn't mention, and I want to bring up this point first, because the first thing I thought of when I was reading this whole article is that for me, it's not only the MM that has a problem, it's also the map rotation. I don't know about you, but when I'm playing a session of World of Tanks, which is like 8 hours, for example, I feel like I'm just getting a lot of the same maps. I feel like, you know, I kind of know how it works in a way, that it has like preferred maps, and I don't like that because I feel like I'm just getting the same maps way too much, where I don't see a certain map for days or weeks even, and I'm just getting like other maps over and over and over again. And there's no mention of that here. I'm not sure if this is a part of MM, but I think it's also very important for people, because if you know, I understand that you guys cannot be like me and you know, just beg all day for money, and that you have to do real jobs, that when you come home from work and you play 2-3 hours and you get the same map 4 times in those 2-3 hours, you are not enjoying yourself because of that. Like I talked about this, we don't need new maps in World of Tanks. We need to fix the ones we have, and we need to make sure that we're also seeing the ones we have, so that we are not ending up in a position where we're just not getting all the maps that are in there. We're just getting a subset of it, right? That was the first thing I'm thinking of. Outside of that, it looks good on paper. I'm still not sure about the overall effectiveness of the hard limits. Like I said, I don't think they're harsh enough for me, but only testing can really tell how many of those battles will still occur and how much problems we're going to have with it, right? And the more +1, -1, again, I would like it permanent, but I'm not a developer. I don't make the decisions. So that's just the way that I'm thinking about it. And that's my opinion. So overall, it looks really, really good on paper. I'm excited to test it. I hope you guys are as well. Let me know what you think about this article in the comments down below. And if you agree with my opinion, which parts are questionable, and how you are perceiving this article and this test, and how do you think it's going to go. And let me know as well what you think of encounter and assault being disabled, and if you play those modes to begin with, and if so, why you opt not to play them. I'll try and read every single comment. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will be back in full force now, just to finish off the video. It took me quite a bit of time, guys. I apologize, to really settle in, get, you know, buy things, set up things, get the apartment going. I just really haven't found the work-life balance that I was looking for. So YouTube was the one thing that I couldn't really do, especially because I was, you know, I was playing for mobile data, so I had like barely any upload speed to even upload videos. It was very frustrating, but the internet's fixed now. I've settled in. I've bought most of the things that I needed to buy. I have new kittens coming next month. The internet's fixed, so we should be back on track with YouTube videos again. So again, my apologies for not uploading for a little bit of time, but we shall be seeing each other again very, very soon again, and hopefully as frequently as before. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys all in the very next one. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace out.